Donald Trump speaks to a nearly empty arena in Saginaw, Michigan. It was quite sad to watch while he gaslighted people and said, "Oh, look, nobody could fill this like MAGA. Nobody." It was like mostly empty, dude, at least half empty. I'm probably being generous. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris drew an absolutely massive crowd in a GOP stronghold in Wisconsin alongside, get this, Liz Cheney. You heard that right. Liz Cheney, Republican Liz Cheney, hitting the campaign trail with Vice President Kamala Harris. If that doesn't show you where we are at right now as a country and how people are uniting behind pro-democracy, I don't know what will. We'll also unpack Melania Trump's latest controversy with CNN. Did you see how much money she was demanding to be on CNN to be interviewed? This is just outrageous. It's just the latest in a series of grifts. We're also going to take a look at new revelations. I guess they're not so new. We kind of suspected this, but new revelations confirmed by on-the-record sources about Donald Trump's history of withholding aid from areas that didn't support him in elections. As you all know, he's out there trying to stoke all this. He's pushing all these lies and disinformation and trying to stoke fear about the storms that have hit in the United States. Meanwhile, as with everything with Donald Trump, it is all projection and confession, and the people closest to him are coming out and they are saying that's what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump refused to help people who he didn't like when he was in office. He looked through the voter rolls. I mean, how sick is that? We're also going to explore Jack Smith's bombshell new legal filing that is full of just some stunning revelations. We're going to bring in Jordy. Let's bring in Michael Popok again from Legal AF for a legal segment to break down all the just most stunning parts of this Jack Smith filing that was just unsealed by Judge Tanya Chutkan. We're excited to bring you all of this and more coming up on the MeidasTouch Podcast with Brett and Jordy. Jordy, what's going on?
Super excited for today's show. We have a lot of ground to cover. Excited to bring in Popok again. I love these Legal AF X MeidasTouch crossover episodes. They're a lot of fun. We listened to all the viewers too. They said that they love bringing in Popok for these legal updates. So I'm excited to pick his brain there. I think he's going to give our audience a huge update, which I know most folks want. And Brett, I'm just excited to get in. We have a lot to get to today. So where do you want to start off?
Well, I'll start off. It's like one of those crossover, like when Everybody Loves Raymond and like the guy from King of Queens came over.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're doing here. It's cool change of pace. Ben is on daddy duty. As you know, Ben has a new child, and we're sending all our love to Ben and his amazing wife right now. And thank you for all the support you've given them. I know he's watching and seeing your comments. But first, let's start with somebody who is not feeling the love, and that is Donald Trump at this rally in Saginaw, Michigan. I even couldn't believe this myself when I saw this event. I was like, this must have been taken earlier. But Donald Trump was introduced to a nearly empty arena in Saginaw, Michigan. And I'm not exaggerating for the audio listeners. You'll be able to see it. I'll be generous and say that this arena, which is not even that big of an arena to begin with, is half full, half empty,
maybe
depending on how you look at life, but I would say that is me being generous. And look at the comments Trump was making as we see a pan of the venue showing how few people are actually there for this event in Michigan. This is an important state, folks. Watch this.
And who else can fill up? Only MAGA. But whoever fills big places like this at 3:00 in the afternoon? We're going to be meeting. We're going to think of it.
Apparently not you, because there's not a lot of people in that venue at all whatsoever. And I just want to show you right off the bat. This is the Kamala Harris event in Wisconsin from today in Ripon, Wisconsin. This is literally the birthplace of the Republican Party was in this town. And she's there in this Republican stronghold with Liz Cheney. And look at this crowd. I'm going to show it right now. I'll explain it for our listeners, but the line is long. The line continues to go. We're seeing this on 300 times speed right now. Somebody going through this massive line of people there to see Vice President Kamala Harris. And I think we're seeing in these states that people are stepping up, whether they're independents or Republicans or Democrats or whatever you want to call yourself. This is about our democracy, damn it. This is about our country, and never has that been more on full display than in the past few months, if not few years. But seriously, really heightening now, especially after that disastrous debate non-answer that JD Vance got into. We'll go over that also, but I want to show you one of the reasons that I think people aren't showing up to these events, because Trump goes to Michigan, which is a state like all states, filled with people who work for a living, right? I know Donald Trump doesn't understand that. And he tells them that he's going to get rid of overtime pay. Like, I don't know why this has worked its way into Donald Trump's stump speech, every speech, but listen, like, I'm not making this up. Here you
I
go.
used to hate to pay overtime. When I was in the private sectors, they say, oh, I don't want over, you know, I shouldn't tell you this. I'd go out and get other people and let them work regular time. It's terrible. I'd say, no, get me 10 other guys. I don't want to have time and a half. I don't want to have, but it'll be great. I mean, it'll be
boring, low energy, telling people that he doesn't want to pay them. I think we said this on the last episode, Jordy, but like, everybody thinks it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. This is a key initiative in Project 2025. And Trump is saying, I'm going to do this to you. Like, remember all that stuff I said about, I'm not going to tax your overtime. You're not going to have overtime. This is what he's telling them. And it's just, Jordy, it's been rally after rally where Trump just rambles in these boring ways about things that the American people are just utterly repulsed by. Like, he's still now sowing doubt about the upcoming election while he's still in hot water about the last election. We'll get to that later with Michael Popok, but listen to what he said in Wisconsin. Once again, Michigan, very important swing state. Wisconsin, very important swing state. This is the message that he is bringing to the people there. This is one of his like fake press conferences he held. Watch.
Do you trust the process this time around?
Did I what?
Do you trust the process this time around?
I'll let you know in about 33 days. No, look, I'm in 33 days.
How about as president or as a candidate for president, you are supposed to be accepting the results of the election. That is the fundamental part about being an American, quite frankly. You could have your challenges. You could do what you want. You can't foment an insurrection, and you can't do what you have done over these past 4 years. And Americans are sick of it. And the debate certainly showed that, as we saw people utterly repulsed by J.D. Vance as a result of that question. Jordy.
When you look at that video and really watch it, it's not him being cutesy corporate media. It's not Trump giving a tongue-in-cheek remark. That needs to strike fear into everybody watching. He's telling you straight up, he's not going to accept it if it does not go his way. That's what he's saying in that clip. And we know what happened last time. Everyone remembers January 6th. Who could forget it? He's building up for another Jan 6 moment because he's going to dig his heels in when he loses. And he's going to say rigged, and he's going to sick his followers on the American people once again. That clip is disturbing.
And I think it could be used as evidence, quite frankly, in his other cases as well. And we'll talk to Michael Popok about it, who's going to break down this damning Jack Smith filing, which has been released by Judge Tanya Chutkan. But this is all very relevant right now, as much as people like Vance want to go, why are you talking about the past? It's not about the past. It's about the present, and it's about the future. So what else was Donald Trump speaking about in Wisconsin? Of course, he was denigrating our troops and telling the 100 or so service members who were in Iraq who got traumatic brain injuries from bombs. He was telling them, oh, what the headaches that they got? They got headaches?
Attacks from Iran, but also, do you believe that you should have been tougher on Iran after they had launched ballistic missiles in 2020 on U.S. forces in Iraq, leaving more than 100 U.S. soldiers injured?
So, first of all, injured. What does injured mean? Injured means you mean because they had a headache, because the bombs never hit the fort. So just so you understand, there was nobody ever tougher in Iraq. They had no money with me. They would have made any deal with me. I would have had a deal made within 1 week after the election.
Yeah, no, actually that happened while you were president, and 100 of our service members were diagnosed with brain injuries. Brain injuries. These weren't headaches. You don't debate what injuries. What are you talking about? Enough is enough. Like
from Bone Spurs himself, Brett. From Bone Spurs himself.
And he's on like really like his greatest hits these days of just smearing our veterans every single day. It feels like, whether it's the Medal of Freedom stuff or what he did at Arlington Cemetery or you name it, it's constant smearing of our veterans. And it's also dehumanizing people. And once again, all of these things are utterly disqualifying for somebody running for the highest office. Donald Trump, yesterday, he appeared on like News Nation or one of these channels, and he was asked about the legal migrants who are in Springfield, Ohio, who he continues to lie about. And Donald Trump, in a true fascist fashion, said that he wants to revoke their legal status. They're legal. He wants to take away their legal status and deport them.
Springfield is such a beautiful place. Have you seen what's happened to it? It's been overrun. You can't do that to people. they have to be removed.
So you would revoke the temporary protected status?
Absolutely. I'd revoke it and I'd bring them back to their country.
Nothing more heinous than that. Like
Sick.
we've said on this show repeatedly, those are individuals who are invited to these towns, who are there legally, and quite frankly saved those towns because the towns were suffering from opioid abuse. They couldn't get people to actually take the jobs, and these Haitian immigrants came in. They kept the economy afloat. They kept these towns surviving. These towns wouldn't exist without them. And Donald Trump continues to put these people at risk because of his lies that they eat dogs and cats. What a dehumanizing, disgusting lie to continue to spread from his deranged debate performance that everyone is laughing at still, by the way. Everybody thinks it was the most humiliating debate performance anybody has ever seen. And he continues to double down on this with statements like that. And he's putting lives at risk. And he's also putting lives at risk, Jordy, with this whole situation that's happening with Hurricane Helene. And this also really makes my blood boil. Anytime he dehumanizes people or takes a moment of disaster or crisis and tries to use it for his political gain, how dare you? How dare you? And while this is all going on, as Donald Trump spreading his lies, here was his views that he gave on the climate while we're seeing climate disaster currently play out in our country.
The Green New Scam is one of the greatest, most difficult things to be watching.
What a sick guy. Jordy, any commentary on what you just saw there? It really it bothers me a whole lot.
A lot of Trump clips to hold him accountable with the proper commentary around it. The batch that we've just showed to begin this show has been some of the sickest stuff that he's done in recent memory. And it's only going to continue to ramp up. Like, I need folks really to be paying attention about, and I know the Meidas community is, just how dangerous and disgusting these acts truly are. Again, I'm not even going to call it a dog whistle to what he's doing to these Haitian migrants in Ohio. These folks are here legally. They are pillars of that community. That's not me making it up. We've heard from the mayor over there say that himself, that these folks quite literally saved that town. What does Donald Trump say? He's going to revoke their status and send them back, kick them out of the country. I mean, what a truly sick individual. And then we look at what's going on with Hurricane Helene, Brett. And once again, every time Trump decides to show up uninvited, right? He hasn't been invited to any of these locations, just shows up with his people. He then diverts resources that need to be spread out and dispersed on the ground there to the folks in the communities that actually need them. But no, Donald Trump wants his photo op in front of the brick pillars around him so he could be looking like he's a real man doing something. He's not doing anything other than putting people's lives at risk every time he's on camera and every time he takes the mic. It is really sick stuff. And I'm terrified that it's only going to get more and more deranged as we get closer to this election.
Yeah, the thing that comforts me is that I hope the American people have wised up to what is going on, and we have people like this audience here who is spreading the word. But what he's doing is, and of course, that President Biden is in power right now, and not a Donald Trump who's going to play games with the election and or our security and things like that. But when it comes to a disaster like this, and you have the full weight of the federal government actually doing their jobs, actually helping the communities in a massive way, and then you have Donald Trump over here spreading lies, telling people that the money that should be going to them is going to illegal immigrants and all these other lies, he's putting people's lives at risk. He's putting their lives at risk, and he's scaring people from getting the help that they need, and it's going to lead to people dying. And so I'll just do a plug for FEMA right now, because if you know anybody who is struggling out there in the midst of these storms, I want to make sure that they're getting the help they need, even if Donald Trump wants to cause more chaos. So you or somebody on their behalf can call 1-800-621-3362. That's 1-800-621-3362, or go to disasterassistance.gov, or download the FEMA app, and you could put in a request. There's a lot of aid that they're trying to distribute right now. They need to know where to distribute it to, but it's been comfortable that it's been comforting to see at least these red state governors acknowledge the efforts and not fall under Donald Trump's spell here with his chaos stirring. And you see this across the board, from Governor Henry McMaster saying that the federal government is helping, Brian Kemp saying that he appreciates the help of the federal government, and so on. Obviously, Governor Roy Cooper in North Carolina, a Democrat, saying that he speaks to Vice President Harris daily. And by the way, back when a hurricane hit North Carolina when Donald Trump was president, Governor Cooper had to beg for aid because Donald Trump only gave them 1% of the aid that they asked for. 1% of the aid. So we know from history that Donald Trump has been targeting folks, targeting blue states, targeting blue communities, anyone he doesn't like, and saying, you know what, I'm not going to help you out. And so there were these revelations that came out today, but I think there were things that we had heard kind of in the past, but this is kind of from a firsthand source in the administration who actually put their name on this thing. But this was the report that came out today. Certainly doesn't shock me whatsoever, but we see here 2 former White House officials said that they had to show voter data to Trump to get him to release disaster funding to California wildfire victims. He released it after learning that he had as many Republican supporters in Orange County as he did in Iowa. This is utterly damning stuff right here, and shows you that everything, quite literally everything that Donald Trump says is projection, deflection, and confession nonstop. He tries to say, oh, Kamala Harris isn't helping red states or red towns. Yes, she is. Yes, President Biden is. That's what you didn't want to do. And you literally had to have people in your administration check the voter rolls and tell you that more people supported you in those towns so that you would even consider helping them. That is the lowest of the lowest of the low. It is absolutely disgraceful. Jordy, what are your thoughts?
I think, Brett, to your point exactly there, the differences between the 2 candidates have never been more clear, right? What we saw earlier in the evening with Liz Cheney and VP Harris is coming together and putting country over party, right? Yes, they may not agree on everything, but they do understand that democracy is quite literally on the line, versus Donald Trump, who continues to put Trump over party over country. That's the only way he reads this thing. And so that report that we saw earlier today, Brett, that had come out that showed that Trump would look at voter data to decide who he helps and who he doesn't help, that tells you everything you need to know. This guy does not care about the country. This guy does not care about the United States of America. He only cares about Trump, and it's proven time and time and time again. And by the way, these aren't Democrats coming out with these reports and saying this. These are people who have firsthand account, who worked under the Trump administration, Brett.
And Trump is just he's a flamethrower. He's a fire starter, right? He's an arsonist, and he wants to cause all these problems. And then he wants to say, I'm going to be the one who fixes it. Or he lies and says there's a problem when there's not a problem. We see this with the border when he blocked the border bill. We see this with his FEMA aid. And he said some other just really disgusting things about FEMA today during his Michigan rally that I'm not even going to play. But
with the continuing resolutions when he tries to
continuing resolutions at every step, the guy tries to sabotage our country. At every single step, going into the disaster zones when he wasn't welcome, diverting the resources. Like Vice President Kamala Harris, she waited till she got the green light to step into these areas. She coordinated the effort with President Biden, with FEMA, everybody from the aid groups like Jose Andres to the governors to the people who live in the towns and the cities, the states. They all say that the federal government is doing a fantastic job. Only one person is saying they're not and spreading lies, and that's Donald Trump spreading his racism, going back in his pocket. He only has a couple moves. He's going back to his, they're actually only helping the illegal immigrants. That's what he said. FEMA's not helping you. Once again, FEMA is helping you, and you could get aid at the numbers and the addresses that I speak to you. I'll play this clip quickly. This is Vice President Kamala Harris at the site of the disasters, speaking about how she's going to help everybody. Watch this.
And so my final point to the residents of this community and the region is that we are here for the long haul. There is the work that we have done together that was the immediate response, preparation for, and then the immediate response after. But there's a lot of work that's going to need to happen over the coming days, weeks, and months. And the coordination that we have dedicated ourselves to will be long-lasting to get families, to get residents, to get neighborhoods back up and running. And my last point is this. I think that in these moments of hardship, one of the beauties about who we are as a country is people really rally together and show the best of who they are in moments of crisis. And we've seen that throughout the region, where communities are coming together, where people are helping perfect strangers, where they are providing food, water, shelter for their neighbors, and that neighbor may be somebody they've never met before, but are doing the work of helping each other out. And I think it really highlights the fact that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us, and that the best of the strength of who we are is we come to each other's aid in a time of need. So I thank everyone for doing that kind of work every day. And with that, there is more work to be done. Thank you.
Now that is leadership. That is leveling with the people, telling them about the issues that they're going to be ahead, telling them what the federal government is doing, and encouraging unity instead of division. That's what we want, especially in times of crisis. I'm so sick of Donald Trump constantly dividing us and trying to turn people against each other and trying to stir hatred, especially when it is in moments of crisis. But you know what? Jack Smith is on Donald Trump's tail, and Jack Smith just released a bombshell document that I want to cover with you here on the MeidasTouch Network. And who better to talk about these new revelations than Legal AF's own Michael Popok, who we have waiting in studio. We're going to bring him in just a bit. Remember to subscribe, by the way, to the new Legal AF YouTube channel, youtube.com/@LegalAFMTN. Michael Popok is doing legal breakdown. I don't even know how many he's doing, like a ton all day. He's turned into Ben over there with the legal takes. It's quite impressive. He is doing a great job. Make sure that you follow for all the legal updates, almost minute by minute legal updates now. I love it so much. We're going to be back after this quick break, but make sure you do not go anywhere. See you in a sec. It's tough to keep track of all the transactions we make every month. Did you know that the average American makes around 70 payments per month? Honestly, I couldn't even guess how much I was spending until I started using Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that empowers you to save more, spend less, and take control of your financial life. With Rocket Money, you could see all of your checking, savings, credit cards, and investments all in one convenient place, allowing you to understand your spending trends. Rocket Money can help you set up a custom budget by identifying top spending categories and suggesting areas where you could adjust your spending habits. They'll calculate your monthly spending allowance and alert you when you're close to going over budget so you could save more and spend less. I was shocked to see how much I was spending on my phone bill, and Rocket Money helped me make the right decision for my finances. They also have a goals feature that automatically saves money for you so you don't even have to think about it. Whether your goal is to pay off credit card debt, save up for a house, or just keep more money in your pocket, Rocket Money makes it easy. And here's the kicker. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you, sometimes by up to 20%. Saving money on your cable and cell phone bill without the hassle? That's a win. Rocket Money has over 5 million happy members and has saved users over $1 billion across all their app's features. That's 1 billion with a B. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Get Rocket Money today at rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. That's rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. rocketmoney.com/MeidasTouch. MEIDASTOUCH.
A question that I am frequently asked is, Ben, how do you stay so calm when you're doing your reporting with all that's going on in the world? And I say, one of the tricks that I use is actually I use an app that's called Calm. And the app called Calm has these grounding exercises and expert talks and meditations that I listen to in the morning and sometimes before I go to sleep. And it's been really helpful for me. Calm, it's the #1 app for sleep and meditation, giving you the power to calm your mind and change your life. And it's really helped me. It's got meditations to work through anxiety and stress and boost your focus and build healthier habits and take better care of your physical well-being. And look, stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. Try it out. I think you'll really like it. For listeners of our show, Calm is now offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/Meidas, CALM.com/Meidas. Go to CALM.com/Meidas for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/Meidas.
Shout out to our fabulous sponsors. Links in description of both YouTube and the audio. Use our codes. Use the links. Let them know we sent you. I'm hearing a lot of great stuff about the Calm app specifically. So if you haven't checked that one out, click the link, check it out. Ben's been very zen lately. Zen Ben is what they call him since using the Calm app.
Zen Ben. I love that. Remember to also subscribe to the MeidasTouch Podcast and leave a 5-star review. It all helps us go up the charts. And we appreciate all those who listen to us on audio. We put our takes throughout there during the day. Make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube. And if you are already, hit that notification bell. It reminds you when we go live, when we release a new video. It's all super, super cool. Okay, the bombshell revelations, folks, from this new Jack Smith filing that was just unsealed by Judge Tanya Chutkan in the DC federal election interference case against Donald Trump, with just about 30 to 32 or so days before Election Day. I know no better person in the world to bring in to dissect this incredible new filing than Michael Popok of Legal AF. You know, when I call Michael Popok, even just on the phone, he goes, Michael Popok, Legal AF. And that's how he answers the phone now, I think.
There you go.
But Michael Popok,
anchovies and meatball, please.
Welcome to the show, Michael. You are crushing it on the new Legal AF channel over at youtube.com/@legalafmtn. So make sure that you subscribe. The link is in the description. But this new Jack Smith filing, Michael, there is some spicy nuggets in there, I will say. And like, as we were pouring through it, we were just like, oh my God. So Popok, break it down. I'm going to cede the floor to you. The folks got to hear it from the expert himself.
One correction. We're building the Legal AF MTN channel. This community that's been with us for 4 years with the brothers and with me and Legal AF. As I joke when I open up Legal AF MTN, sometimes I said, we're not going anywhere. We're not leaving our brothers. We're not leaving our mama and our papa. This is just a collaborative new channel, a parallel channel at the intersection of law and politics. Thanks for having me on for today, guys. Really appreciate you both. Yeah. So look, I'll do a high level, and then I'll get into a little bit of that spicy stuff that Brett, you just teased. You teased a little bit. High level, 165-page presentation of evidence, not just to multiple audience. Judge Chutkan, yes. Supreme Court, ultimately, of course. But because of the timing that Jack Smith had no control over, the only reason we're talking about an October surprise is because the Supreme Court, hijacked by MAGA and Donald Trump, decided to hear the oral argument on immunity on the very last day that they could, issue the order, the decision on the very last day that they could. If they had done things 4 or 5 months earlier, we would be, I don't know, we'd be talking about like a March surprise, a February surprise. That's when we should have been talking about this. So Jack Smith, to as a retort to Donald Trump and all of his whining on social media, like, oh, election interference, and this is off of the because Tim Walz in the debate. I don't know what he is at. I mean, I know he's lost his fastball, but I've joked recently he's lost all his balls. I mean, just Donald Trump is has moved into insanity. The reason
he's lost all his balls.
All his balls. Asen, get on that. So, keep it. Stays in the pod. All right. Now look. What? Let me make some things clear to our audience, because they follow so closely everything that you guys do and we do on Legal AF. Everything that is in Jack Smith's 165 pages plus, speaking of Meidas plus, because we're gonna get another 200 or 300 pages, I think, around October 15th, once the judge just publicly files or publicly discloses and orders the clerk to do it to us, an appendix, a compendium, a sidecar for this motorcycle filled with more evidence that we'll retire from the practice of podcasting just based on the information that's in this stuff. The reason everything in there, in both filings, Donald Trump and his lawyers have known about for over a year and a half. It's not a shock to them. If Donald Trump is shocked by what he's reading in this 165 pages, then he didn't read the superseding indictment. He didn't read the earlier indictment, and he certainly didn't read the Jan 6 report, because it is consistent with everything there. It is new to us. It is new to our audience. It's new, the sizzly, sexy stuff I'll talk about. We didn't know about it, even in reading carefully the Jan 6 report and all the reporting leading up to this. But Donald Trump has known about it. He just feared this day when it would be presented in with such momentum in writing, such advocacy in writing, to lay out the case against Donald Trump, a case so well presented that even Fox News and Fox Business lost their mind, and Neil Cavuto blurted out, we all did a sort of a hot take on it. He blurted out, well, all the crimes that Donald Trump committed are listed right there in the new filing by Jack Smith. I was like, really? That Neil Cavuto he's got to walk that back soon. This brief is organized in 3 or 4 different ways. There are internal organizational principles that make it an easy read. At least I've gone through the document 5 times now, okay, from beginning to end. And it's first organized around 3 major conspiracies, similar to the Jan 6 committee. The first conspiracy is Donald Trump trying to interfere with the actual voting process by Americans. Whether it's Boris Epshteyn, we're back to the sexy part, Boris Epshteyn wanting a riot to be started in front of a Detroit counting center in order to delay the outcome of the election and the counting of the votes. That happened. That's in there. That is Boris Epshteyn, and we know that from prior reporting that we did here on the MeidasTouch Network. Whether it's that or other ways that they try to interfere with Americans using their right to vote and trying to disenfranchise them. Second conspiracy is the conspiracy around the counting of the electoral votes and the certification of the election. That's the pressure campaign on Mike Pence. That's the use of fake evidence and false evidence in the fake certificates. So the brief has that going on. And then it's got the conspiracy that I think really strikes at the heart of the entire case and should automatically lead to the American people rejecting Donald Trump as a candidate. And that's the conspiracy to disenfranchise millions of voters on both sides and have their vote not cast. That's one organizing principle. The next organizing principle is a timeline that runs from before the election, including new information and new evidence against Steve Bannon. He might not want to be packing his bag to leave prison anytime soon because he's still in prison for his contempt of Congress in this case. He might want to keep a bag packed because he may be going back based on the new evidence that we didn't even know about. We knew that Bannon was sort of always hanging around the Willard Hotel and the War Room with Mike Flynn and Giuliani and Boris Epshteyn, apparently. But we didn't know the level and extent that Bannon did Donald Trump's bidding. Starting from the very beginning, when he declared on behalf of Donald Trump, days before the election, that it didn't matter what happened at the election, they were going to declare victory on election night to take advantage of the fact that Republicans vote more on election day, while Democrats vote more by mail-in and absentee voting and early voting. And that there'd be a mismatch that he was going to try to take advantage of because Donald Trump would be, quote unquote, ahead until the other votes all came in. Of course, that's not how elections work. Every vote is counted. Every vote is equal in its count. They were always going to declare victory and then make the Democrats rip it out of their hands. That's Bannon, and that's in there too. So you got the timeline all the way through Jan 6th and the siege on the Capitol with Donald Trump. And then what we have is this amazing just cornucopia of evidence, tractor trailers full in this filing and what we expect in another 2 weeks. And some people might be asking on both sides of the aisle, why so much, Popok? Why so much presentation of the evidence now? You know, we have to pick a jury in the future. And I never heard of a criminal trial where so much evidence was presented. And this is not Jack Smith's fault. This was the Pandora's box created by Chief Justice Roberts in writing the 6-3 decision on immunity. He left no choice. In fact, this is his command to Judge Chutkan and by extension to the special prosecutor. Put on your evidence. Carry your burden now to show that the official conduct of Donald Trump, you can rebut that to show that it moved into the world of criminal and it wasn't official conduct. You carry your burden now, not at trial. Okay, well, that's what I got to do. So 165 pages and another 300 pages later. In there also is the other person that just pops out. Again, they're all anonymized. You know, you can't tell exactly who people are, but you can by their titles and by other reporting. Rudy Giuliani. I mean, the guy already lost both of his bar licenses, is indicted in 2 different places, has $150 million judgment against him because he defamed Ruby Freeman and Shane Moss. And he has a bankruptcy being dismissed. You know, he's about to lose his shirt off his back effectively. But he is front and center and in every room. Now, we always knew he was Captain Crazy. He was captain of Team Crazy. That's what Eric Hirschman called him, the deputy White House counsel, along with Sidney Powell and Jenna Ellis. But the extent of Rudy Giuliani's involvement. And to answer the question that comes up in the chat a lot, why aren't these people indicted? Why are they just unindicted co-conspirators number 1 through 6 and this and that? There's still time on the clock. I think Jack Smith was wise. He had 2 major cases against Donald Trump, Mar-a-Lago, and you see what we got to do there. And now this one. with a new superseding indictment. And he didn't need to also have at the same time a Trump indictment, a Bannon indictment, a Boris Epstein indictment, a Mark Meadows indictment. But he has time. There's plenty of time left on the clock on the statute of limitations. The other takeaway for me was kind of buried a little bit. You know, it's almost like if you fell asleep, you would have missed it. And I did a hot take on it. Like page 160 out of 165 was a reminder that evidence comes in many forms in a trial. It can be testimonial, witnesses testifying, some cooperating, meaning, okay, I don't want to be indicted. I'll tell you what I know. And there's plenty of those, including all with R's next to their name as Republicans, and the like. Then there's the ones that were forced to cooperate. And so they're like Mike Pence testifying, Lindsey Graham likely testifying, Mark Meadows probably testifying. You got all that's testimonial. Then you got documentary, which is what it sounds like, documents. Then you got the whole world of electronic, audio, video, text, and forensic extracted material from people's devices. For instance, they got Donald Trump's phone. I'd forgotten that. And in the last couple of pages of the brief, the courts, Jack Smith said, we're going to carry our burden. We're going to bring somebody from the FBI Rapid Forensic Team. That's some, I forget exactly the initials. And he has looked at and examined closely Donald Trump's phone and knows everything he was doing at the moment of dereliction of duty. When he was in the dining room, what he was downloading, what he was watching, what he was tweeting, what he was DMing, and he's going to be prepared to testify at trial. We'll probably know more about that in about 2 weeks, but I was like, they hacked the phone. He's done. He's cooked. And that's why Donald Trump, I'll leave it on this, guys. That's why Donald Trump is so desperate to win the election, not for the American people. He doesn't give a crap. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the American people. He's trying to outrun the prosecution because if he can get, it's like when we were kids, if he can get to the base, get the safety, get to the tree before the guy beating him, if he gets elected, God help us, he's going to fire Jack Smith. He's going to cancel out this prosecution. He's going to pardon himself and everybody else. And that's the only reason he's running. Otherwise, he'd just be an 80-year-old retiree down in Florida, you know, grifting and making money and making hundreds of millions of dollars off the American people, but he wouldn't be running. That's why he looks like a guy who doesn't want to win, really. He's just desperate. He's just desperate to avoid jail in federal court. That's all we're watching. So when you guys watch, not when I say you guys, I don't mean the brothers. I mean, when people watch J.D. Vance, you know, his little unctuous, oily presentation, and Melania Trump coming out today, I'm for a woman's right to choose. When you watch all that, sorry, guys, I know that sounded a lot like Hitler. Then, sorry.
You took it and then you somehow made it worse.
I made it worse. But when you see all of that, that's not a family trying to win an election. That's a family that's trying to keep Papa out of jail. And I'm hoping, and I always have so much confidence in two things in America: the jury system and the jury's ability to smell bullshit, and the electorate to do the right thing and support women and women who support women and vote against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance in November. If that happens, then all these delays, and today Chutkin said, sure, file the brief later, do it after the election. Who cares? Because he'll still be a defendant in the criminal court system, subject to conviction. And that's of course bringing him to justice.
Wow, what an epic breakdown, Popok. Thank you so much for bringing that here to the MeidasTouch podcast. I mean, it's truly like such a historic document right there. And when you read through it, it's wild. And we actually did over at, well, first Popok did a great hot take, as we call it, on our channel that you could watch. And it's a great breakdown of everything. If you kind of want, the meat of that to share with folks. Also at
Midas. I have to say this, that's why I love Pope so much too, because he was able to take that entire document, that just all of that reading and give a synopsis of that I know exactly what's going on now. Thanks.
Yeah, it's like, most people relax like a magazine or a book, like a fiction. Popok's like, I'm going to pour through this 165-page filing by Jack Smith like 4 times to make sure that everybody knows exactly what it is.
I got so excited. I got a bone to pick with you. Your powers of observation are usually razor sharp. You haven't noticed I shaved my beard off except for my mustache.
Oh, no.
We've been talking.
definitely
We've
know. We've
been
on the
side
side.
chatting about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you said chat.
We can bring it up, but I don't think it would be appropriate for the show.
Okay.
Because hashtag Popok mustache is what the number 2 trend on Twitter right now.
I didn't grow a mustache. I shaved off a beard around it.
Oh, we know what you did. We know what you did. All good. Thank you so much, Michael Popok.
Thank
If you
you.
also go to MeidasPlus.com, you'll also see Michael Popok helped the team out with this. We did a breakdown of some of the biggest revelations at MeidasPlus.com. The article is called Unsealed Filing in Donald Trump's Federal Election Interference Cases, Major Revelations and Analysis. I highly recommend you checking it out. Michael Popok, thanks for everything you do. Remember to follow Michael Popok. He's everywhere. The guy's everywhere. You can't miss him. His Twitter, Threads, you name it. He's there. Instagram, MS Popok. You can follow him there. Also, Legal AF, obviously, subscribe to the podcast. Ben and Michael Popok and Karen Friedman and Nifilo do such incredible work there. And subscribe to the Legal AF YouTube channel for more legal takes from Michael Popok. The link is in the description. It's also youtube.com/@ Legal AF MTN. Don't forget the @ symbol. All right. Thank you, Michael Popok. We're going to head to a break.
Thank you, brothers.
I really appreciate you joining us here today. We'll be
Always.
right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
Fall can be a stressful season, and stress leads to feeling drained. So to maintain your energy levels and a heart-healthy routine, it's best to avoid relying on stimulants. Super Beets Heart Chews offers a convenient, delicious, plant-based way to support healthy blood pressure and circulation. Enjoy a heart-healthy boost without the jitters. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the unique antioxidant compound in Super Beets is clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. Super Beets Heart Chews are incredibly delicious and so much better than any alternative supplements out there. I take my Super Beets Heart Chews each morning, and it's really kickstarted my morning routine. So after taking my Super Beet Heart Chews, I feel like I have more energy and am ready to take on the day. Here's something. More doctors, more pharmacists, and more cardiologists recommend Super Beets for heart health support than any other beet brand. Super Beets Heart Chews also offers a convenient way to support healthy blood pressure since they're individually wrapped, so you can take them on the go. Double your potential with Super Beets Heart Chews. Get a free 30-day supply of Super Beets Heart Chews on all bundles and 15% off your first order by going to getsuperbeets.com and using the code Meidas. That's getsuperbeets.com and use the code Meidas. One more time, getsuperbeets.com and use the code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S. So out of all the things we do to maintain and protect our homes, getting up on a ladder to clean out the gutters, it's the last thing anyone wants to do. Whether you're tired of unclogging gutters or you don't even know what your gutters look like from above, it's time to upgrade to a permanent solution with Leaf Filter. Right now, you can save up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/Meidas. Look, I'm certainly an improvement person, but some things are just too difficult to get done right and really are best left to the pros. Trust me, especially cleaning the gutters, which can honestly be a bit dangerous and more complicated for someone who isn't a professional to handle it. And look, I'm a podcaster. If done incorrectly, you can find yourself with an even more costly job. Clogged gutters aren't just a nuisance, they can cause extensive problems. So protect your home from flooding, roof damage, rotting siding, foundation issues, and more. Leaf Filter takes care of everything from start to finish. Every installation comes with a free inspection, estimate, and lifetime guarantee. A Leaf Filter trusted pro will clean out, realign, and seal your gutters before installing Leaf Filter. Protect your home and never clean out gutters again with Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system. So schedule your free inspection and get up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/Meidas. That's a free inspection and up to 30% off at leaffilter.com/Meidas. leaffilter.com/Meidas. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior military discount, 1 discount per household.
Welcome back to the MeidasTouch Podcast. Jordy always makes me, he says, you got to emphasize the. It's the MeidasTouch Podcast.
We debate about this quite a lot. It's probably the biggest point of contention between the brothers, whether or not it's the MeidasTouch Podcast or just MeidasTouch Podcast. For me personally, as the guy who came up with the name, it's the MeidasTouch Podcast. So
humble Humble brag, humble brag. Okay, everybody, make sure to check out our sponsors in the description below, and thank you to for them to all their support. Thank you to Michael Popok. That was so great. Getting all the
And
deets.
definitely subscribe to his Legal AF channel, Legal AF MTN. I mean, it's the collective we. It's our channel. It's just more content, more legal breakdowns,
more,
and the way
more
only
Popok.
Michael
You can't
can
get enough.
deliver it.
Can't get enough Michael Popok. So I want to get into, Jordy, some of these clips from this event with Vice President Kamala Harris and Liz Cheney. I got to say, this is not something I would have predicted a few years ago. I'm just going to say that. But it shows you the gravity of the situation that we're in, and that the stakes of this election are so high, and that the issues are frankly not about specifics of any one policy, but they're about the fundamentals of our nation, our fundamental freedoms and our rights, and what it means to be an American. And Liz Cheney came out there at this event. Remember, it was in Wisconsin, in literally the town where that was the birthplace of the GOP, Ripon, Wisconsin. By the way, I get so self-conscious saying names of Wisconsin towns because they're all pronounced interesting. And so
you should. We're going to get angry emails no matter how you pronounce it.
Please forgive me.
Because we have our distinct accents as it is. So that's working against us.
We're already working with the Long Island thing. It's a whole thing. So give us a break. So Liz Cheney was out there, and like immediately, she had some, important things to say, but I thought this was particularly a funny way for her to kind of begin speaking to the crowd. By the way, packed crowd full of so many people. We showed you that line. Check this out. It's hilarious.
House leadership. So in other words, I was a Republican even before Donald Trump started spray tanning.
She goes back. That's a long time. It's a long time. By the way, let me show you an image of the crowd here. Here are the Teamsters, the Wisconsin Teamsters in the audience. You see all of them with their Teamsters shirts on. Pretty cool to see. This is a bipartisan event, and I love that Kamala Harris is courting people across the aisle, liberal, conservative, independent, whatever you want to call it. Let me show you a bit more of Liz Cheney. This is her explaining why she's voting for Vice President Kamala Harris.
I tell you, I have never voted for a Democrat, but this year I am proudly casting my vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. But mostly we're not.
It's a powerful moment for our country right now. Let me just show you this one other clip of Liz Cheney.
Vice President Harris has dedicated her life to public service. I know that she loves our country, and I know that she will be a president for all Americans. As a conservative, as a patriot, as a mother, as someone who reveres our Constitution, I am honored to join her in this urgent cause.
As a conservative, as a patriot, as a mother, as someone who reveres our Constitution. And it's just so well said. And, I think back often actually to that Liz Cheney quote that she said during the January 6th committee. And I think it's so true, Jordy, where she said, tonight, I say this to my fellow Republicans, there will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain. Powerful stuff. And I think Liz Cheney here is obviously on the right side of history. She is fighting for what's right. She is putting country over party. And it is so great to see, because there are some spineless people in this party, Jordy, like JD Vance. And I don't think we need to go on and on about this debate the other night, because we did our post show and we've talked about it a lot. We did a bunch of takes and other kind of podcasts on it. But that moment where JD Vance at the end of the debate refused to acknowledge that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, That's still the part that I think is in my brain. And I think that was the big
Damning
takeaway
non-answer.
of the event, the damning non-answer. And when Liz Cheney says stuff like your dishonor will remain, she's speaking about people like J.D. Vance. So dishonorable. So dishonorable. You'll be stained for the rest of your life by taking positions like that, by refusing to uphold the basic principles of our democracy. And by the way, VP has very few jobs, honestly. You're there to take over if something happens to the president. You're there for the tie-breaking vote and to oversee the Senate, and you're there to handle the certification of the election. And if you cannot admit that somebody lost an election, you are disqualified from holding that office. It is absolutely disgraceful. And, we're seeing now the effects of Trump's minions. People kind of like J.D. Vance, who took Donald Trump's side and decided to go along with these efforts. And, we're all cocky about, we're going to fight this election and we're going to do all of our schemes. I don't know if you saw the story today about Tina Peters, Jordy. She was like a Mike Lindell ally, a Trump ally, and today she was sentenced for her crimes related to her election fraud. It's always Republicans. A shocker, right? It's always Republicans. Let me see if I could find it, and I'll pull up a little bit about Tina Peters, but if not, I'll just talk through it for a second. But Tina Peters was in Mesa, Colorado, and she allowed people to hack into the election systems after the election to try to prove her allegations of fraud, allowed all of this unethical and illegal behavior, and did a lot of the things that Donald Trump was pushing for, Donald Trump asked to do. And this is not like a random figure, right? This is a MAGA election official who oversaw the elections, who did this sort of thing. This is a figure who Donald Trump praised. Donald Trump praised this individual at his events. Like, I have a clip of it, and listen closely because it is, quite frankly, a little hard to hear, but you could hear Donald Trump here call Tina Peters a rock star, calls her a rock star. She was just sentenced to 9 years in prison by a judge. Rock star, 9 years in prison for engaging in Donald Trump's election scheme. Watch.
Let her go. Go ahead. This is Tina Peters running for Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Tina
Peters!
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you are. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. You are. Yeah.
Yeah, Tina.
Yeah, go, Tina.
All right, Tina.
Do you have anybody in the Republican primary?
I do. You know what it is? Pam Anderson, who is the director.
Not the Pam I want to look at this tomorrow. Well, do you have a card or something? Just give him the information. This is a rock star.
Right. She is. She is. She is.
All right, that's enough of that. And it's a little hard to hear, but he calls her up at Mar-a-Lago and he calls her a rock star. He gets everybody to applaud for her. She just got 9 years in prison for engaging in basically the same behavior as Donald Trump. And
she's a rock star, according to Donald Trump.
Because a rock star to Donald Trump is anybody who does his illegal bidding, like a mob boss. And so I encourage you to do this also. I want to play a clip of her whining to the judge that she can't be sentenced to prison now because she needs a special mattress. She needs her special comfortable mattress. And if she doesn't have her mattress, she's not going to do well. Well, don't do the crime if you can't do the non-special mattress time, I guess. But Ron Filipkowski, it's like about 4 or 5 minutes long, so I'm not going to play it here. But he posted a clip of the judge breaking down all of her crimes during the sentencing, showing how unrepentant she is, showing how she used her position of privilege in order to commit all these illegal acts to try to overturn our election. And if you erase the words, if you remove the words Tina Peters from it, and you act like this is Donald Trump being sentenced, I tell you, this lines up word for word of what a sentencing against Donald Trump would sound like. Word for word. Word for word. And I think it's a bit of a hint into the future, quite frankly, if you listen to that clip. Once again, our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, posted that full clip. Let me show you her whining about her mattress, just to show you how ridiculous and pathetic these people are. This was right before she was sentenced to 9 years of hard time.
I'm very taken back by how awful I've been depicted when I was just trying to do my job, the people expected me to do. When I look at the people that have spoken here today and asking for harsh sentences I'm just appalled. I feel bad for them because I know, I've often said God doesn't like people messing with his kids. And I believe I'm a child of God. And I believe that it was important for someone to stand up. And I chose to do that. I have health problems that would not be treatable in the Department of Corrections. First of all, I need a magnetic mattress. I've been on that since 1995. I was in 2 rear-end collisions in 84 and 2010. It was pretty severe. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit, and chronic fatigue as a result, and I had to stop working for the airlines in 1995. I was up all night because I was in bed all day. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't control these symptoms until I got, believe it or not, a magnetic mattress of which I still sleep on. I will not have that at the Department of Corrections.
I mean, aren't you sick of these people, Jordy, using their positions of privilege to just completely try to destroy our entire system of government, use their greed, use their grifting, use everything against the United States of America? These are no patriots. These are not people doing their jobs. These are people committing crimes. And I'm happy, quite frankly, that she's facing 9 years in prison right now. She was sentenced to 9 years.
And I agree with you, Brett, wholeheartedly. When in the history of defending yourself has "I was just doing my job" been a good defense for anybody in history? Think about where you've heard that time and time again. Disgusting. The lack of accountability that we've seen from this MAGA ilk, right, Brett? Time and time again, it's the same thing. It's this whiny behavior. And there's just no self-accountability. What happened to Republicans pulling yourself up by the bootstraps? That's not what this MAGA thing is. It's not. This is, I'm going to complain. It's you. It can't be me. Only I am right. Only I can fix it. You are wrong and you are satanic. Like, these people are I'm not making light of this. They're not all there, and I'm not giving them an out. But there is deep mental illness in this country that has allowed this to fester with such a huge swath of this country. And it's very sad to see play out in real time. And I just cannot wait till we, as the collective, we get to live in reality once again, where facts rule the day. And I know facts rule the day here on the MeidasTouch Network with the Meidas Mighty.
Yeah, you know, and they view all these opportunities as money-making opportunities and things. And then, ultimately, shit hits the fan, so to speak, and they get arrested and indicted, arrested, and sent to prison. And I think that's a bit of a window. Like I said, if you listen to the full sentencing, it's a bit of a window, I think, into what Donald Trump could be facing. And so I think that's why you see the whole Trump family kind of grifting like there's no tomorrow, because I think they, in the back of their minds, think there might not be a tomorrow, because there's 30 or so days until
it's
election.
Their MAGA going out of business fire sale. It's what it feels like they're doing. They've always grifted, but it does feel heightened in these last 30 or somewhat days.
Oh, yeah. So whether it's crypto schemes or this story from Melania, which I'll just hit quickly because it's just so insane. But Melania Trump apparently demanded $250,000. Her publisher demanded it for her to appear on a CNN interview to promote her book. CNN did not agree to that. It makes you wonder how many times she has demanded this from other networks before appearing on it. She was on Fox a few times this week. And of course, like on Fox also, she always has the nerve to, make all these lies, spread all these conspiracies, act like she likes Donald Trump, even though she lives in like a totally different state than Donald Trump, and they never see each other. By the way, they just updated their prenup a couple days ago. It's they're reporting with all this going on because she's afraid that Trump's going to be broke by the time he's done with all of his legal cases and everything. Once again, I think this is a window. This is an actual story. She had to renegotiate her prenup a few months ago before this whole tour. But then she'll make comments like this, where on the air she'll try to put on this whole pity act and say the country is suffering. People are not able to buy their necessities. And meanwhile, the same exact day, Donald Trump is selling $100,000 watches, and you have Melania talking about her book by posting, "Why do I stand proudly behind my nude modeling?" By like she's the spouse of a guy running for president. Like, she knows that, right? And they're like 30 something days to the election. Like, let's focus on the American people and not about yourself. Like, not focus on these trinkets that you're selling, like this Melania Trump bridal figurine with 40 Swarovski crystals that is being being sold for $99.99, or this vote freedom necklace for $600, and or these grifts where you get these speaking fees for speaking at Mar-a-Lago, where your husband lives at this bizarre country club, and getting checks of $237,000 from the log cabin Republicans, which meanwhile, when you ask the log cabin Republicans if they paid it, they said, we didn't pay that money to her. I don't know where that money came from. And by the way, she's been paid now hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably millions of dollars, probably at least $1 million, from these campaign funds and from various elements just being funneled into Melania Trump's pocketbook. Then, of course, her entire life is paid for too by these MAGA donors. You have her personal stylist being paid $18,000 a month. This is all in the public records that you could see. $18,000 a month for her stylist. She doesn't appear in public for the campaign, so on its face, it doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, you have Donald Trump and his kids hawking this new cryptocurrency thing that they're doing and posting about. This is how I'm going to make America great again with the new crypto grift. Go to my crypto website. It's like, come on, people. Are we not sick of this? And the thing that I like, Jordy, and you were hinting on this too, that this network is about the we. It's not about the me. It's not about the I. It's not about the buy my necklace and my bridal figurines and my $100,000 watches. This is about how could we as a community mobilize and make our country better. Right. And I don't care if those ideas, quite frankly, I don't care if they come from Democrats or Republicans or independents. I think the Democrats are the party that's certainly much more supportive of democracy, and the Republicans, these current Republicans, have completely abandoned it. But that's why there are so many Republicans who watch the show, like classic Republicans. That's why there are so many independents who watch the show, and Democrats, people of all kinds, because there's a demand for normalcy. There's demand for whatever that weird stuff is that we're seeing. Enough is enough. We don't want the chaos. We want people who, if there's a hurricane, they're going to give us the facts, whether they're good, bad, whatever. We need the facts. How are we going to get help? We need the facts about where we're going to get help. We don't need lies and demeaning illegal immigrants and all this stuff. We don't need that sort of hateful rhetoric. Just tell us how we can improve our country. So I think hopefully, this movement of joy, this movement of positivity, this movement of unity, that's what's so important. So as we close out the show, I want to encourage everybody to check their voter registration if you haven't yet. Sometimes you get lost from the voter rolls. So you can check it at websites like vote.org, or usually if you go to your Secretary of State's website, wherever you live, just look it up. But vote.org links you out to all those pages. If you're not registered, register. Tell your friends and family to register. And no, we got a lot of people watching live right now. I see all the comments going. It's going crazy. I know people go put on slow mode and they say it's too slow. Slow mode. There's a lot of people commenting, a lot of people watching. Think about how exponential your power is if you tell 1, 3, 4, 5 people to vote, and never get complacent. You see good polls out there. I think they're promising. You see good energy out there, like in Wisconsin. Frankly, as good as it is, none of that matters if we all don't get to the polls. So that's the message I want to leave you with. Also, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the MeidasTouch Podcast. I think we covered a lot. Thank you to Michael Popok of Legal AF. Remember to subscribe to the Legal AF MTN channel, youtube.com/@LegalAFMTN for all your legal updates there. Of course, Michael Popok will always be also on our channel here. So make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you get alerted. Make sure that you add the MeidasTouch Podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts on audio. That really helps us also. And we put these takes on so you can listen even if you can't watch, if you're in the car, if you're in bed, whatever it is, you could always be listening to episodes of the MeidasTouch Podcast. Check out our great pro-democracy merch at store.meidastouch.com. We got great stuff, and it's all union made, 100% made in the USA, as it should be. Okay, Jordy, did I miss anything there? I know... Perfect.
You nailed it, B. That was a fabulous episode. Meidas Mighty. Thank y'all for tuning in. Love y'all. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty.
The Meidas Mighty standing strong against the fascists. We sing our song. We will get it right whenever.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The film Against All Enemies, which I co-produced with Ben Meiselas and this network, has won awards around the world for its up-close portrayal of America's insurrectionist movement. It premieres in the U.S. on March 29th on Amazon and Apple TV. Go to againstallenemiesfilm.com or click the link below. But don't just watch Against All Enemies. Tell your friends about it. It's one more way to hold accountable those who threaten our democracy. Thanks, Meidas Mighty. Let's use our power well.